So let's begin. Whether you're planning to complete a core values assessment independently or with a group, it's important that you allow ample time and do so in a space where you won't be interrupted. Many of us will also find it helpful to have pen and paper handy through this process so that we can jot down anything that comes to mind. Just let it all pour out, and remember that no one will see these notes except you. The first step in identifying your core values is preparation. In order to take an honest look at our priorities, passions, and motivations, we must first be focused on honest introspection. Some leadership coaches use what's called a last day exercise to encourage this line of thinking. In a last day exercise, you're asked to imagine that a doctor has just informed you that you have 24 hours left to live, and then ask yourself these questions. What do I regret not doing in this life? Is there a risk I wish I'd taken that I didn't? What loose ends will be left for others to take care of? What would I do differently if I could go back and begin again, knowing what I didn't know before? And what do I expect my obituary to say? While considering these questions, keep in mind that the questions and their answers are not the focus of core values. But asking these and other similar questions of yourself can be one way to get yourself into a state where you're prepared for an honest self-assessment. It's easy to look at things which can be measured or seen by others when assessing ourselves, but it's quite something else to evaluate our intrinsic motivations and desires. Let's switch gears and then ask some questions which will get us thinking about qualities that we can see in others and that we may or may not be able to see in ourselves. The goal here is not to begin focusing on what we think our core values should be, but simply to start thinking in terms of descriptive ways to qualitatively identify and describe our inner selves. Stepping briefly through these questions might help get you thinking about how the inside of a person can be described in words. Don't dwell too much on any of the questions. Remember that the goal is to begin thinking about what qualities you cherish, respect, abhor, so that then you can move on to identifying what is and is not within you. Once you've begun thinking in terms of describing a person based on tangible qualities, and we've set our hearts and minds on looking within ourselves for these things, we'll be ready to look at a list of possible core values terms. On the screen are several terms which might easily come to mind when thinking of core values, but this is just a sampling. We'll provide you with a much more comprehensive list at the end of this webinar for your own personal use. And feel free to come up with your own terms as well if you don't find them listed. When you have a comprehensive list in hand, here are the steps which will help you narrow the list of your core values. First, you'll quickly read through the list, crossing off every term which doesn't automatically resonate with you, and then write in any terms which you think are missing at the bottom of the list. Second, you'll read through the list another time, this time taking time to ponder which items do or don't matter greatly to you. Make sure to differentiate between what's truly inside of you and what you may respect in others, or what you think should be one of your core values. And then you'll read through the remaining list a third time, this time pausing to think about each word and imagining having to live without that thing. If that thought makes you angry or makes you feel great loss, keep the term. Otherwise, cross it off. Keep in mind that crossing something off doesn't mean that it's not important to you. But if you can live without it, it's not one of your core values. Moving on, you'll then review your list of remaining words for those which might be close in meaning, clarify some differences, keep only the most relevant terms, or combine some. Repeat these steps and fine-tune if necessary. If you still have more than 10 words left at this point, group the words based on similarity relative to what they evoke in you. Putting the words into groupings like this may help you to see some of them actually overlap in connotation, if not in direct meaning. And then eliminate the groups which you would not be willing to suffer greatly for. Once you've stepped through this process, you should be left with a short list of terms which you're comfortable saying define the deepest inner you. These are your unique core values. Not only are these things the basis on which you make decisions, but they could be considered the non-negotiables in your life. They're what you are known for, and someday what you'll be remembered for. We stated that we'd also provide you with some tools to develop core values concepts in team and office and family settings. Over the next few slides, we'll offer some tips to help you determine if a core values assessment is right for your group. Identifying core values within a team setting can help solidify who should be part of a team and why. Core values help a team set their vision, then follow it, because all team members have agreed that that team has a common purpose. Teams who adhere to their core values ultimately stay focused on the work at hand. This commitment should also help should conflict arise. Finally, teams can use their core values as a yardstick to assess their progress and to set goals. Ultimately, just as the fruit of a person's life reveals their core values, the work produced by a team will reveal what the team stood for and cared for. An office setup is similar to that of a team. People have individual roles, but must work toward common goals. Developing core values in an office setting can have positive effects on camaraderie, hiring, logistics, and even on performance evaluations. For example, identifying the values of your office culture from the past or the ones your office has begun to implement recently can guide management in a difficult choice between two equally qualified candidates. Identifying office core values may also help with logistical decisions. For example, an office that places a high emphasis on training may choose to be more frugal with supplies so that they can afford to send an extra person to a workshop each year. Clearly defined values in an office may help managers and employees speak more openly and effectively about performance. In addition, a set of core values may help new mentoring relationships evolve or encourage more involvement in leadership activities at all levels. At home, identifying a set of family values can be incredibly rewarding. First, getting together to discuss core values opens the door to open and honest communication throughout the family. Partners or spouses bring different values to the table. Getting the most important points in line helps keep peace and order. Parents especially should recognize that they need to govern from a united front, as kids may flounder without consistency. All in all, identifying your family core values can improve communication by creating a common code by which you all agree to settle disputes and set goals. The process of sharing these deep inner motivations and commitments with others can really stir up some wonderful conversation and build trust. Finally, having a code to which you adhere to is really cool, especially when it's shared with the people who love you the most in life. A team, office, or family assessment can be conducted in a way similar to that proposed for an individual, but should be done through open communication with the entire group. You may want to make sure that everyone knows right off the bat to respect the diverse personal values that may be part of the group. Try to keep the assessment focused on values that promote the group as a whole, which will eventually lead to trust, accomplishment, and cooperation. Some suggestions will be included in the resource packet you'll receive later today.
Once you've identified your core values and are doing a great job of adhering to them, will life be one big bowl of cherries? On the contrary. You may actually find that there are areas in your life where tension exists based on your adherence to your values. While the scenarios are endless, we hope to offer you a brief glimpse at some of the conflicts you may encounter while adhering to your values and encourage you to follow your compass so that you too can lead a life of influence.